I think as a business we've been really lucky with some of the key successes we've had, and we've managed to build some amazing partnerships. We're a very small team, and we have a global aspirations for making change and impact. We realised really early on that the best way to do that was to work with big partners. So one of the things for us is that we capture microplastics from washing machines, and from 2025 it will be they're banning the sale of washing machines without microplastic filters in France. So we've been involved in working with people like Beko and Miele and some big manufacturers. But now we're on the legislation side. I've been working with the UK government to ensure that our laws match that are in Europe. So we're working on the forefront of what happens in Westminster and how we develop legislation which matches the scale of the problem. So as a company, circular economy is such a foundational principle of us that we always see it as a value add. By adopting circular economy principles, you're generating value from waste. We've found some really amazing things. So one of the projects we worked on, the second largest source of microplastic comes from car tyres. So not a lot of people understand that our tyres, when they break down, they're little tiny fragments. Might be the black you get up your nose when you're in central London or in a city. We set out a project to be able to capture that material and look at what they did. And while the investigation, we found lots of microplastic. What we didn't realise is that there was such high volumes of metals in going down the drain. So our research has led to understanding that there's around £42 million worth of precious metals go down the drain every year in the UK alone. So that's things like platinum, palladium, and other rare earth metals that go down the drain from catalytic converters and other things. So sometimes it's the value you find by taking a circular approach is not always what you look for. But the beauty of value is that it's not necessarily just financial. So some companies work with us because it's good for their corporate social responsibility goals or their PR parts. But other people understand purely this is pure economics. This material's being wasted and it's going down the drain, quite literally. And we have the ability to do something about that.
In terms of key successes, in the last 2.5 years, we've won a share of the largest ever European innovation grants. We've also developed the world's largest waste data set. Another success we've achieved is the installation of the first AI-powered robot in England at FCC on their Reading site. Circular economy is really at the core of Recycli. Rather than adopting a business model, it's something that we were founded on. In terms of commercial benefits, this is something for our customers, as it's them who are seeing the benefits of implementing our technology.
The successes we've achieved that we're most proud of is when we hit a couple of years ago 1 million kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent that we'd have avoided by not using new furniture. We've actually offset that or replaced the use of that furniture and therefore avoided those embodied emissions. That was a really proud moment for us. We've got some wonderful clients, some really big corporate clients. You can see some of their logos on our website who keep coming back. And so we're really, really grateful to be engaged with them on an ongoing basis on their journey towards sustainability as they try to achieve net zero carbon in as quick a time as possible. So those are some of our proudest achievements. But frankly, every project that we do where we walk away and see a beautiful office and the client loves it is just amazing. I'll give you another story around that. So for instance, when it was a particularly proud moment where we were just finishing off putting some items of furniture in place, and there were 2 new clients walked into the office who hadn't been part of the design process. They walked in and one said to the other, "Oh, Shirley, great news, we've avoided the used furniture. We dodged a bullet." And I thought to myself, well, that's hilarious because absolutely everything around her had a previous life in their own offices, right, where we'd been able to repowder coat, put a new top on, all sorts of things. So it didn't look the same, but they'd honestly thought that it was brand new furniture. And of course, that's an immensely proud moment for us because that's the effect that we want to have in every office. We found that taking that circular approach gives a couple of different things. So first of all, there's a cost saving, right? And that's really great when you're saying to a customer, how would you like to save some money? Everybody wants to save money, right? So that's quite useful for the same product in the same quality, et cetera, et cetera. The second thing is greenhouse gas emissions and waste. The circular economy enables, and there's all sorts of papers that were written in the 2000s showing that remanufacturing, for instance, reduces greenhouse gas emissions and waste by around 80%. Also biodiversity loss through extraction of raw resources, transport, energy, water, etc., etc. Right? Massive environmental dividend. The third aspect that we didn't really expect when we start, but we experimented and we found it worked really well, is social impact. So early on in our business, we challenged ourselves and said, how can we be even more sustainable, right? Environment tick, economic tick, what can we do about social? So we started working with some long-term unemployed people with disabilities, and that worked tremendously well. And we've gone on to do that for many projects since then. And what we found is that taking that really sustainable approach across every aspect of the triple bottom line, what that meant is that marketing is a whole lot easier for us. Because if a customer, they will always want to either save money, create social value, or reduce their environmental footprint, and often all three of those. So when we speak to them about what we do, and obviously we're transparent, we show all the numbers behind all of that, that builds trust, and it makes it a whole lot easier for us to win the work than someone coming along and saying, hey, I'm buying furniture out of China, it's a bit cheaper than normal, and actually not cheaper than ours. In a competitive situation, that gives us a really great advantage.
So I think some of our key successes is some of our fundraising. We've managed to raise almost £2 million in the last few years. We've managed to do that through inspiring syndicates of angels, such as the Green Angel Syndicate, and also the crowd, so putting out videos on platforms like Crowdcube and inspiring regular people to become a part of the circular economy through investing in our business, and that's helped us to grow exponentially over the last few years. Because we've always had a circular business model, there hasn't really been a step change from not being circular to being circular. However, we are integrating more elements of the circular economy into our business model, and we do expect to see benefits from that. So for example, we've just added onto our platform the means of selling back a product. So we want people to buy our products and keep them forever. So if they find they're not using them, we do not want these products to be sat on a shelf, something that's completely wasteful. So people will now have the option to sell that product back to us, and we'll then be able to sell that product on as a second-hand item to our customers. And that also has the added benefit that customers who potentially wouldn't be able to afford the product firsthand can buy into the Buy Me Once solution at a second-hand level.
I think one of our key successes is seeing that we have really changed perceptions in giant multinationals' operations and the way that they work, and seeing that impact firsthand, and seeing that we've actually been able to change the way a large organization works, and in turn that resulted in huge environmental benefits. I think that was something that is a really rewarding thing to see, but also I think bringing materials and products from TRL 0 all the way to TRL 9 and launching them in a way that is commercially viable in such a difficult industry whilst there's a pandemic and all those things, I think a huge achievement is just how resilient the team has been, and how we've managed to push through all those things and still continue to progress towards our goal of really revolutionizing the way the industry works. So I think we're really proud of how we've done so far, but I think there's still so much more for us to do. Well, I think something that is often overlooked within the circular economy is that there's a huge financial and economic benefit from working in a circular manner. And that's because you start your production process with a waste stream, for example, in our case. And with that waste stream, we collect it and we charge a service to collect that waste stream. So you're starting your production with a positive cash position. And I think something like that enables us to create circular relationships between different stakeholders and circular business models around the product, so it's not just a product, enables the circular economy to have a much wider impact, but also ensures that there's always a commercial viability stream being considered.
We've now upcycled 2.5 million slices of bread. If you stack that up, that's over 3.5 times the height of Mount Everest. By doing that, we've engaged so many people in the story of the circular economy, raising awareness through a beer, which is a really fun and engaging way to get everybody involved in environmental solutions. From a commercial perspective, the world is moving towards looking at the supply chain to be much more sustainable. So lots of our commercial customers now are with us because of our position on sustainability and in particular the circular economy. Lots of large companies, we supply to Waitrose, Ocado and Co-op, and a number of big restaurant and hotel and cultural organisations. They all want to buy from companies that are operating with a low carbon footprint and are working within the circular economy. So it has really helped us to be at the forefront amongst our competitors and able to supply those customers.
I think one of the biggest successes for us, and certainly one of the things I'm most proud of, is that very shortly after setting up and launching our collection service, school closures began to happen and there was lots of children having to learn from home. In Brighton Hove, the same as many other parts of the country, there was lots of children who didn't have access to devices to do that. And we were able to, working with local charities as well as the local council, provide refurbished devices to fill that gap, and we provided over 250 laptops to school children in that situation. So we were able to very early on see that we were having an impact on people, and especially during the pandemic, that was a fantastic feeling for us. And I think that's then inspired more people to look at the options for using refurbished tech within charities in the city. So it's opened up more opportunities for us and actually increased the number of organisations considering refurbished tech. I think because circular business model is very much how we were founded, all of the benefits were kind of a large part of the reason that we started what we do. I think the benefits to us have obviously been our existence, but in terms of our charity partners, we've been able to save some of them sort of 40%, around those sort of numbers, on what they would have spent buying tech from another refurbisher. So not even buying new items, but buying from a for-profit refurbishment company. So we're able to, as a not-for-profit, operating locally with all of the operations happening within Brighton Hove, offer a very competitive rate that enables charities to access tech that they tell us they wouldn't have even dreamed of being able to access. And they're the ones that then make the real difference with it. We supply them technology, but then through their operations, they get it out to their clients who can use them most effectively.
The key successes have been, our first sale was the key success when customer really got it. That was the biggest milestone, I'd say, when we went out in the pop-up market in Covent Garden and customers were chatting with us and they were like, oh, lovely, and they bought from us. That was the proof for us that we need to exist. There is a factor. And then the second was, we got listed as the second most sustainable fashion brand to watch, sustainable fashion company to watch by TechRound. We made it to the finalist by Dell in the Dream Tech contest, as well as we made it to big screen as well in Going Circular documentary. That was a dream that, when you're in early stage, these are like far-fetched, but that happened quite early. One of our gowns was in the fashion part of the movie as the right products to wear. So that was a success, so yeah. The best benefit that we're not a fashion brand anymore, we are an asset management business. Every product is an asset for us. It comes back to us, we recycle them, keep the material in the loop, looks good it works very great for the environment, as well as we take the benefit of that fiber as well. We can put them in the recycling. We're correcting the problem from the source. That's why it's an asset, it's not a disposable product. We can make more money out of the single product. It's just better return of investment.
I think for me, the key success that we've had is being sort of a bit of a pioneer company in terms of we're a social enterprise and we have really put our impact at the forefront of what we do. The other thing I'm really proud of is now what we're doing in terms of a huge collaboration project with other businesses to try and close the loop on our material end of life. So there is an absolute need for fibre to fibre or garment to garment circular practice, and for us that's been the best thing that's happened to us really, because we're part of a movement now to make circular textiles a reality.
I would say the key successes I've achieved myself through the business is finding ways of reducing our carbon footprint. So first of all, I was looking into analysing it and working out what the carbon output of our material is, and then sourcing ways of reducing it. So being able to find other people to collaborate with was quite successful, I found. We found people with much bigger machines that could then take our material, and it was a much more carbon efficient way rather than doing it lots of times in a small machine, which was very helpful. That was quite a success of ours. And then I think collaborating with similar interior designers, finding ways of people who are also looking to be net zero but have built the foundations of their business on the sustainability has been quite successful. We've been able to create great relationships, and from that more avenues have opened.
We have become official suppliers from H&M, which is an achievement because it's one of the biggest retail companies in the world, and that's important also for us to create impact to the next levels. So others can see that we just not achieve small scale projects, but we are also working now in bigger projects, so that give the confidence to others to move forward. And then, of course, we are talking processes with different construction companies that work with the government. I mean, we had recently as well last year in September another conference with the City of London, the Westminster City Council, Re-London, and as well again were just a few companies, SMEs, selected to be in that event to move forward, to excel those solutions. So, and that lead to other virtual at the moment, they will lead to physical like today meetings, but virtual sessions that those stakeholders, important stakeholders in the construction sector are key for us to move forward. So the commercial aspects that we got from the circularity is that we are very ethical in what we offer, and that's been shown and proved from selection of materiality to delivery installation and thereafter products use for durability and adaptability. So obviously companies and individuals that approach to us can see extra value that they don't have at the moment, so they are learning a lot from us as well. I mean, we learn from each other, but we have a very distinctive way of thinking that is much required within businesses, and that applies to even transport logistics. How we manage globally products within businesses is also very, very important. So we take into account all of that, and this is pretty much appreciated by other stakeholders, that some of the steps of the circularity and the supply chain they haven't realized, then you show, and then they change, or they're willing to. So that's very, very important. Yeah.
Key successes are, I think there's a couple of things. One of them is we're really proud of awards that products have won, especially ones that are consumer based, like the Best Buy kind of award, and that showcases how high quality a circular product can be. I think there's this perception sometimes that they're going to be inferior because they're made from waste, whereas that proves they're not. So we're really proud of that. The second element is what we team scale for good. So a lot of the work we do, we're a small design-based company, North Shore of Cornwall, but we work with some huge global brands, and that's where we can get our scale for good, and that's really rewarding for us. We sit on boards of big companies looking after or implementing policies on circularity and reusables and how they can infiltrate reusables into their whole supply chain, and that for us is incredibly rewarding because we're hitting the scale then. Commercial benefits from adopting a circular model has been vast for us in that we've been going 20 years, and since since the world caught up and realised that the circular model wins on so many levels from an economic and environmental perspective as well, the phone has literally not stopped ringing. So I could go into details, but I'd say overall, we've benefited hugely from offering this different approach, a circular approach. And very often, it's a win-win for everybody. So whether it's doing it ourselves or for other brands, the product ends up superior, it's cost effective, it's often cheaper, and it's a great environmental message for them. And of course, there's the environmental impact. So every time, whoever we're sitting down with, we're in this position where we can offer a win-win. And at the end of the day with business, that's primarily what we're all trying to do. So it really lends itself to that.
So some key successes that we have achieved in the last year have been winning the Young Innovators Award from Innovate UK. This has given us a year of mentorship and support and connections to a lot of research institutions. And then we have started in December, we have started a research project with the University of Hertfordshire, which is ERDF funded, so European funded. And then another key success has actually been putting this product in front of customers and getting like 3 letters of intent and real support in showing that this can be a product that a lot of customers would want and pay for at the price point we have identified. So additional commercial support, kind of like benefits, have been being able to reuse waste that normally is very low value, so we can purchase, obviously the cost of raw materials is increasing, and by using waste as a raw material, we're able to really take down that cost and buy it at affordable pricing. The problem is the supply chain.
Our key successes are really related to growing a really great community around us of stakeholders within the UK NHS, but also wider afield, and also uniting with suppliers, uniting with environmental groups, really creating a flourishing community. Well, not creating, but nourishing a flourishing community, and being part of that community and running with them all as we take it forward towards environmental sustainability across healthcare. Our commercial benefits from circular economy models are really existence. Without circular economy, we would not exist. We wouldn't have a value proposition. So I would say that's the basis of our commercial success, is the fact that we're circular.
When we first started, we had this audacious goal. We are going to take all of the fire hose and we are going to turn it into something else. And the first year, we probably rescued 8 fire hoses. So it was something that we never thought we'd ever be able to get to grips with. But by 2010, we were doing it. So for me, 2010 was just this year where suddenly I felt invincible, because I thought, well, we can take any waste now. If we fix this impossible one, we can take any other waste we want. And that was amazing and actually liberating, because it did allow us to go out and do lots of other exciting things. But I think for Elvis, he would say that he's the most proud of our apprenticeship program, because we work with young kids that haven't had the same kind of background that we've had, and that just need a chance. And to see these young people thrive and flourish and become wonderful human beings that really understand they've got a lot to give and a lot of talent, and that's unbelievable. That's a joy too. Well, if you think of a traditional luxury business, they have 2 big costs, okay, in their production. 50% labor, 50% raw materials. They have to buy those raw materials up front, which causes a cash flow problem. Now, I don't buy any materials. We collect waste. We spend 100% of our costs on labor, and our labor costs are higher because you can't just make a hose into a handbag. There's all these processes you have to go through. But because we don't have to buy the hose up front, and because you're putting the labor in at every phase, just means we don't have this huge cash flow problem. And that is genuinely what kills a lot of businesses in our sector. So I think that's a huge advantage.